I love a good congressional race, and we've got one in Florida with a great candidate, Jen Perlman. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Jen, tell us about this district. It's Florida's 23rd. Where is that?
We are in South Florida. So our district is obviously, it's very gerrymandered. So we are a good portion of southern Broward, and then we go down into northern coastal Dade. So we span 2 counties.
So in that highly gerrymandered district, there are disparate interests, right? A lot of people want different things, and you have to try to address a lot of those things as you campaign.
Yeah, it's very diverse, our district, even though it's very gerrymandered blue, it is really diverse. So we have a very large senior population, and a lot of those are Jewish seniors. And then we have a very large Latino population, and we have a Black population. So it is diverse, and it's really just a matter of us getting out the voters that don't normally come out and vote.
You're someone who obviously has reflected, I say obviously because, it makes sense that you'd be with us on TYT's progressive values in your stump speeches and in much of the retail politics you've done, talking to people and all the rest. I'm wondering, of those progressive policies in general and that progressive philosophy, what stuff resonates?
Overall, we are about the idea that the income inequality has just reached an unethical and untenable level in this country. And that is something that needs to be addressed on many fronts. So, our first primary policy is Medicare for all. And to me, that will be the single best change in most people's lives in the quickest amount of time, that I think people can't even foresee how good of a change that will be in our future, our economy, and everything. So I'd say our biggest issue is Medicare for all.
Do people you speak with about that feel it's a fading dream, as though their cries for Medicare for all or for some kind of reform in the healthcare system, those cries are falling on deaf ears, or do you feel as though people are hopeful?
I see both, because the younger people are infinitely more hopeful. And then we have, like I said, an elderly population that isn't as concerned with Medicare for all because they have Medicare. So it's a little bit of a different marketing to the older community in terms of how it will benefit them. And when they hear things like, well, you won't have all your supplements, your Plan Bs, your copays, you'll have less expensive pharmaceuticals, you'll get long-term care, you'll get vision, you'll get dental. So it's really just a matter of putting out for the right audience how it benefits them.
You're a lawyer in your former life, right?
When I had a life, yes.
And when you were a lawyer, I know you were an advocate for indigent. I don't know if that's the right word, but for those the poor who
Yes.
needed representation but couldn't afford it.
Yeah, out of law school, I did a lot of criminal defense, and where I was in San Antonio and in Texas. The large counties do not have public defenders' offices. And instead what they do is judges will appoint attorneys from the bench. So it really allowed for a lot of flexibility, and I just really enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, I was getting court appointments, mostly misdemeanors, and really representing people that would otherwise not have any attorney. And then I would do other pro bono things through the family court wheel. We did Jane Roe cases where we would represent teenage girls that were seeking a judicial bypass to parental consent abortion laws. So just all different, I'd say, service areas where people normally go unrepresented.
I think it's striking, I guess, because when you look at the income disparities, which you've pointed to, and you see this gap that leaves so many people unable to afford any kind of legal representation. You've seen that firsthand.
Oh, yes, I have definitely seen that firsthand. I see it daily. I've been campaigning now for about a year, and between the organizations, the municipalities, and the people that I talk to, there is no shortage of evidence of the wealth problem in this country, the inequality of wealth in this country. It's everything from people not being able to afford healthcare, for people not getting paid sick leave, for people not making a living wage. We have an affordable housing crisis that's very significant down here in Broward. I think we're one of the worst in terms of affordability of housing in the country, if I'm not mistaken. So it's very real here. And we have McDonald's workers that are making $8.25 an hour. So this is not a living wage. I mean, I generally will have this concept with people that I explain to them, if we just paid people a living wage, then they could just afford to live, and we wouldn't have specifically affordable housing. You would just have people and they would just live where they can live. So, I mean, I just think that the best way to attack it is from every possible angle and just get whatever you can in there. But all of our platform essentially is designed to narrow the gap of income inequality in this country.
Yeah, and then I know we touched on the Medicare for All issue. It's funny, there are Democrats in Florida. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is one, and yet she really wouldn't pass any sort of progressive litmus test related to Medicare for All, for example.
No, actually, I'm friends with the members. I'm in and friends with members of the Progressive Caucus, and they have met with her. They have gone to her office and met with her, although it isn't her. It's a representative for her. But no, she clearly will not sign on to Medicare for All. And you can speculate, is it that she takes big pharma money, that she takes private insurance money? Is it it could be a myriad of things. Maybe she just fundamentally doesn't think people are entitled to health care. I really don't know. And when you take so much corporate money, it's very hard to distinguish what your values are, if you have any, because you're really doing the bidding of your corporate donors.
Do they see you?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she is the very essence, of the mainstream Democratic Party in all of its corporate capture that's gone on there. So I'm not surprised on one level, and yet she can see the popularity, I would think, just because we're talking about it, of Medicare for All, or certainly some kind of reforming of the healthcare system, as with that as a goal, perhaps. And yet to be so resistant does sort of smell bad. Yeah. So what's her status as a politician there?
She's locally speaking. There is still a certain amount of insiders, especially within what we would call our super voter demographic, your Democratic Party leaders that are local and even statewide that are still very much behind her. She's very entrenched in that. But, there are so many people that are so desperate for change. And it's really a matter of going out into the community and bringing people in, like I said, that have felt left behind and that normally don't participate in the process. And I have been doing work in these communities for now a year. And I really feel like by doing service in the community, and my campaign is all about community service. All of my volunteers, we call us Gen Corps, and we're doing service in the community and just showing this district what it's supposed to look like when you have a representative that is a public servant. So, I think that I'm able to reach a segment of the population that she could never or wouldn't ever even try to reach.
Look, your personal history is one that reflects a commitment to that community that wasn't, just born a year ago. You've really, and that's why I touched on your pro bono representation of all of these various legal clients, if you want to think of them that way, who desperately needed representation. They had no money.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, I have to say this, politics is tough. There's a lot of heavy lifting, and you're someone who left professional life because you had a child who had special needs. And I'm wondering how you make time, given all the time you've had to dedicate at home, to still go out and do retail politics.
Well, I took 10 years off. I was inactive as a lawyer for 10 years. And now I have one that's in college and I have one that's 13 and infinitely more self-sufficient. And regarding his needs, he has learning issues, not necessarily what we would call special needs. So he's very, he takes care of himself like a normal teenager would take care of himself. So I don't have any additional stressors other than just having a teenager in the house. So it's, I'm in a position right now where I'm able to do this. And I feel that is such a privilege to be able to do this. Most people cannot afford to take this time, raise the money, and be able to do this and commit to this. So it really is a privilege. And I say that it's my privilege to lend my privilege.
And I really think I kind of wanted to point out to everyone, you do walk the walk as well as talk the talk. And so when you say you feel it's a privilege, it really rings true. Like as sometimes it sounds like it might be something a politician says, but in your case, you have a life that actually reflects that sort of commitment. So what are the challenges from going forward? What are the most immediate challenges?
Raising money is, always a challenge, and that's always something that we have to be doing. And since we don't take corporate and corporate PAC money, we are funded by largely very small dollar donations. So it's really a constant getting the word out, spreading the message, recruiting volunteers, and just really bringing people in this new, it's a paradigm shift. We're really changing the whole concept of what congressional representation is supposed to look like. And so I think a lot of people are excited about this, and a lot of people have reached out to us. And I've been surprised in a lot of cases of the amount of people that have found me. And I feel, it would be nice to feel like there's not going to be any funny games or shenanigans or cheating or voter suppression. But I think we all know that those are things that we just live with now. And so it's hard to say, if this were down just to a fair fight and it was just policy versus policy and people could actually see us next to each other. And I think it would be a lot different. But because it is the way it is, I've got some significant concerns about election integrity moving forward.
Oh my gosh, yes. That for another conversation. But it's unfortunately, as you say, the nature of the beast at the moment anyway. Check out Jen Perlman. Her website is jen2020.com, jen2020.com. You can donate, actblue.com/donate/jen2020. Volunteer, jen2020.com/volunteer. But it's all there at the website, jen2020.com. Jen Perlman, good luck. We are hoping for good news from Florida's 23rd.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.